The sky above Nevada was clear, the kind of clear that made the desert feel like another world. No clouds, no wind, just silence and sun. In a remote area far from any city, a small group of humans stood waiting. They wore uniforms or suits, depending on their job. Some were soldiers, others were scientists or diplomats. All of them looked up. Above them, something hung in the sky. It was not a plane. It was not a bird. It was not anything they had seen before. It was smooth and dark, shaped like a teardrop, floating without sound. The object had appeared 2 days ago and hovered silently over Earth. It did not attack. It did not move fast. It simply waited. Now, it was coming down. A soft hum filled the air as the alien ship lowered itself toward the ground. Dust rose in slow spirals around it. The humans stepped back instinctively. One man, tall and with short hair turning gray, raised his hand. "Stay calm," he said. His name was Daniel Carter. He was a colonel in the Air Force. He had trained for this moment, but still his heart beat faster than usual. Beside him stood Maya Rodriguez. She was a diplomat, not a soldier. She wore a simple black jacket and jeans. Her job was to talk, not fight. She adjusted her glasses and took a deep breath. "This is it," she whispered. Daniel nodded. "Let's hope they come in peace." They didn't have to wait long. The bottom of the ship opened with a quiet hiss. A ramp extended downward. From inside, light poured out. Not harsh, but warm, like sunlight through a window. 3 figures stepped forward. They were tall, taller than most humans. Their skin was pale blue, almost like water under moonlight. Their eyes were large, dark, and full of curiosity. They wore tight suits that shimmered slightly in the sun. No weapons were visible. No threats were made. One of them stepped forward and raised both hands slowly. It was a universal sign. Peace. Maya stepped ahead of the others. She held up her hands too. Then she spoke, clearly and calmly. "Welcome to Earth." The alien tilted its head slightly. Then after a pause, it spoke, not in perfect English, but close enough to understand. "We are the Virexians," it said. Its voice was soft, like music played at low volume. "We come in peace." There was a brief silence among the humans. Then Daniel stepped forward. "I'm Colonel Daniel Carter," he said. "You're welcome here." The alien gave a small nod. Then it gestured behind it. "More will follow," it said. "Our leaders wish to speak with yours." To the meeting later that day, the aliens met with a small group of world leaders and scientists in a secure facility nearby. The Virexians did not seem surprised by human technology. They had studied Earth from afar for some time. Their ship could travel between stars. Their cities floated above oceans. Their knowledge of physics was far beyond what humans understood. But when they looked at Earth, they saw chaos, not war, not death, but noise, pollution, conflict. People argued over land, money, religion. Nations built weapons but rarely used them against each other. Instead, they pointed them at the sky, toward space, toward nothing. The Virexians watched all of this with quiet interest. During the meeting, one of the Virexians asked a question. "Why do you build weapons if you do not use them?" Daniel looked at Maya. She answered, "We build them so others know we can fight, so they don't try to hurt us." The Virexian tilted its head again. "You make tools of destruction to prevent destruction?" Maya smiled. "Yes." "That is strange," the Virexian said. "On our world, we only build things to help life grow." Another Virexian, smaller and quieter, asked another question. "What do you value most?" Silence followed. Daniel thought. Maya thought. Finally, Maya said, "We value freedom. We believe people should choose their own lives." The Virexians exchanged glances. "But you do not always agree on what freedom means?" the first Virexian said. "No," Maya admitted. "We argue about it often." "And yet," the Virexian added, "you create beautiful things, music, art, stories. You dream beyond your world. Daniel nodded. That's true. We may not be united, but we imagine a better future. The Virexians seemed satisfied with the answer. The observation begins after the meeting. The Virexians returned to their ship. They did not leave Earth. Instead, they began to study it more closely. They sent drones into orbit. They scanned cities, oceans, forests. They listened to radio waves, watched television, read books. They learned about human history. They saw ancient civilizations rise and fall. They saw wars fought with swords, then guns, then bombs. They saw peace treaties signed, broken, and signed. Again. They saw beauty too. Children laughing. Music played in streets. Paintings created in quiet rooms. Poems written by people who never became famous. The Virexians found humans confusing. They were loud. They fought often. They wasted resources. They polluted their own planet. But they also created, they dreamed. They reached for the stars. One Virexian scientist named Cortel watched hours of human films. He saw comedies, dramas, science fiction stories where humans traveled across galaxies, met aliens, saved planets. He found these stories interesting. Imagine us, he said to his leader, before we even arrived. His leader replied, perhaps they are ready for the truth. Cortel was not sure. There is much to learn, he said. Confusion among humans. Back on Earth, news of the alien visit spread quickly. Some people were excited. Some were afraid. Some believed the Virexians were gods. Others thought they were invaders. In Washington, officials debated how to respond. Should they share everything with the public or keep details secret? Daniel and Maya were called to meetings every day. We need to show control, one official said. If we look weak, people will panic. Maya disagreed. If we hide the truth, people will invent worse stories. Daniel stayed quiet. He had seen the aliens up close. He knew they weren't enemies, but he also knew something else. Humans were messy, unpredictable, dangerous sometimes. And now, someone else knew it too. A small leak. Meanwhile, in Chicago, a young man sat alone in a small apartment filled with computer screens. His name was Ethan Lee. He worked from home. Officially, he was a software developer. Unofficially, he was a hacker. Ethan had spent years looking into government secrets. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone. He just wanted to know the truth. When the aliens arrived, Ethan started digging deeper. He found files about military projects, weapons designed for space, drones powered by artificial intelligence, experiments meant to protect Earth from alien threats. Ethan copied the files. He didn't know why. Maybe to warn people, maybe to prove something, maybe because he liked to break rules. He uploaded the files online. Only a few people saw them at first, but the Virexians saw them too. Their network was advanced. It connected to Earth's internet without being noticed. Cortel found the files and read them. His face grew serious. These weapons, he whispered, they are not defensive. They are offensive. His leader joined him. They plan to use them? The leader asked. Cortel looked at the screen. I do not know, he said, but they are ready. Final thoughts. The Virexians remained in orbit. They had come to Earth expecting to find primitive beings. They had found something else. Humans were not strong like warriors. They were not united like hives. They were fragile, emotional, creative, dangerous. They sang songs. They told stories. They loved and hated and dreamed. And now they had been seen by someone new, by someone watching. And the Virexians were not sure what to think. Yet, the Virexian ship floated silently above Earth, a dark teardrop against the blue sky. Inside, lights pulsed softly along the walls. The air was clean and cool. No noise came from outside, just the quiet hum of machines at work. Inside one of the research rooms, Cortel stood alone. He was a scientist, tall and thin, with pale blue skin and deep black eyes. His hands moved quickly over a glowing screen. Data scrolled past his fingers. He had been studying Earth's atmosphere for days. At first, he thought it was normal. Every planet had its own mix of gases. Some were rich in nitrogen like Earth. Others had more carbon dioxide or methane. But Earth's numbers didn't make sense. The levels of certain gases were rising, fast. Cortel looked at the graphs again. He zoomed in on the data from the last 200 years. What he saw made his stomach tighten. Carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. All of them were going up, and not because of war or weapons, because of humans. A planet out of balance core. Tell pulled up more data. He studied old records, satellite, images, temperature readings. He watched videos of cities burning, forests disappearing, oceans turning darker. Humans were changing their world, not through space battles or alien wars, through fire and smoke, through factories that belched thick clouds into the sky, through cars that filled the air with invisible poisons, through farms that stretched across land once covered in trees. Cortel read reports from human scientists. They warned about warming, about storms getting stronger, about ice melting and seas rising. They called it climate change. He read how some humans tried to stop it, others ignored it, some even denied it was happening. Cortel felt confused. Why would a species harm its own home? Why wouldn't they stop? Meeting with. The council later that day, Cortel entered the main chamber of the Virexian command ship. The room was round with curved walls that showed stars beyond the Earth. Around him stood other Virexians, scientists, leaders, thinkers. They waited for his report. Cortel stepped forward and raised his hand in greeting. "I have new findings," he said. One of the elders, a tall figure named Lirtan, nodded. "Tell us." Cortel touched his wrist. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth from space, then zoomed in on layers of air around the planet. "This is Earth's atmosphere," Cortel explained. "It should be stable, balanced, but it is not." Lines of data scrolled past. Graphs showed rising temperatures. Images showed glaciers shrinking year by year. "The humans are poisoning their own world," Cortel said. "Slowly, without meaning to." There was silence. Lirtan asked, "How long before it becomes uninhabitable?" Cortel hesitated. "We do not know exactly," he admitted. "But if they continue this way, within a few centuries, Earth may no longer support life." More silence. Another elder spoke. "They do not fight each other with weapons?" she asked. "No," Cortel said. "They fight with machines, factories, cars, farms. They take what they need without thinking about tomorrow." Lirtan looked at the others. "This changes things," he said. "We must reassess." While Care on the ground back on Earth, Daniel Carter sat in a small room inside a military base. Maps and reports lay on the table in front of him. He wore his uniform, but his face was tired. Across from him, Maya Rodriguez sipped coffee. "They've been quiet," she said. Daniel nodded. "Too quiet." Maya frowned. "You think something's wrong?" "I don't know," Daniel said, "but I feel like we're being judged." Outside, the sun was setting. Lights flickered on across the base. In the distance, the alien ship still hovered. Daniel got up and walked to the window. "What if they see something we don't?" he asked. Maya joined him. "Like what?" Daniel pointed at the sky. "Maybe they see how we treat our own planet." Maya looked at him. "You think they're worried about climate change?" Daniel shrugged. "I don't know, but I think they see us differently now." Ethan Lee's mistake. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Ethan Lee sat in his apartment surrounded by blinking screens. He had uploaded the secret files days ago. At first, nothing happened. Then people started talking online. Some called him a hero. Others called him dangerous. Ethan didn't care. He wanted the truth out. He opened a new browser and typed in a search. Virexian reaction to leaked files. Few results came up. Nothing big. But he missed one thing. The Virexians had seen the files, and they were watching him now. The files that changed everything. Back on the Virexian ship, Cortel reviewed the files Ethan had shared. Weapons powered by AI. Drones that could fly for weeks without landing. Lasers strong enough to destroy satellites. And something else. Plans for a weapon that could heat the upper atmosphere. A weapon designed to knock enemy ships out of orbit. Cortel stared at the screen. "This is not just defense," he whispered. Learton approached. "What did you find?" Cortel turned to face him. "These humans," he said, "they are not as harmless as we thought." He played a video file from the leak. It showed a test of the atmospheric weapon. A beam shot into the sky. A satellite exploded in silence. Learton's face grew serious. "They plan to use this against us?" Cortel shook his head. "I don't think so," he said. "But they are ready. And they are smart." Learton looked at the screen again. "If they can destroy ships in orbit," he said slowly, "then they can reach beyond their world." Cortel nodded. "And if they bring their habits with them?" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Everyone understood. If humans left Earth, they might carry destruction with them to other planets, to other stars. Fear among the stars. The Virexians held another meeting. This time the mood was different. No longer curiosity. Now, concern. Learton spoke first. "We must decide," he said. "Are humans a threat? To themselves only, or to others?" One of the younger Virexians replied, "They have beauty. They create music, art, stories, but they also destroy." Another added, "Their technology grows fast. Their weapons grow stronger. Their planet suffers." Learton looked at Cortel. "What do you think?" Cortel took a deep breath. "They are not evil," he said, "but they are dangerous. Not because they want to hurt others, because they do not understand limits." Silence followed. Finally, Learton spoke. "We must warn the Concord." The Galactic Concord was a group of advanced civilizations. They worked together to protect the galaxy. One of their rules was simple. Do not let dangerous species spread. If humans joined the Concord, they would learn star travel. They would go to other worlds, and they might ruin them too. Learton looked at the others. "We cannot allow that," he said. A message from above. That night, the Virexian ship sent a signal to Earth. It was not loud. It was not threatening. It was calm. A message played on every radio, every TV, every phone. We watched. We listened. We learned. You are beautiful and broken. You dream and destroy. We fear what you may become. The message ended. On Earth, people heard it. Some cried, some laughed, some argued. Daniel and Maya stood outside, looking at the sky. "That's not goodbye," Maya said. Daniel nodded. "No," he said. "It's a warning." Final thoughts. The Virexians stayed in orbit for a few more hours. Then they vanished. No explosion. No flash. Just gone. Back to their world. Back to the stars. But they left behind a question. What happens when a species has the power to destroy itself and the universe? Will it learn or will it fall? Only time would tell. The sky above Nevada was clear again, but the air felt heavier than before. The Virexians were gone, but their message still echoed across Earth. People talked about it on TV, online, in schools and cafes. Some said the aliens had been scared away. Others thought they had only just begun to watch. Daniel Carter sat alone in his office at the base. He stared at a photo on his desk, his daughter, smiling with her dog. She was growing up fast. Too fast. He looked out the window. The alien ship was gone, but something about its visit still felt unfinished. He wasn't wrong. A warning. Ignored back on the Virexian command ship, Cortel stood in the observation room. The stars stretched out around him like frozen fire. He watched Earth shrink behind them as the ship moved farther into space, but he didn't feel safe. "Do you believe they will change?" asked a voice behind him. Cortel turned. It was Learton, one of the elders. His skin was darker blue than most, and his eyes were deep with thought. "I don't know," Cortel said. "They are smart. They create beautiful things, but they also destroy without meaning to." Learton nodded slowly. "We must decide," he said. "Will we warn the others, or give them more time?" Cortel looked back at the screen showing Earth. "They need time," he said, "but not much." On Earth, the world reacts back on Earth. Life went on. In Washington, politicians argued over what the Virexians meant by their final message. Some called it a blessing, others called it a threat. No one could agree. Maya Rodriguez tried to keep the peace. She gave interviews, met with leaders, and tried to explain what she had seen. "They were watching us," she told a group of reporters. "Not just our weapons, our world, our choices." One reporter asked, "So they left because they were afraid of us?" Maya shook her head. "No," she said. "They left because they understood us." That answer made the rounds online. Some people agreed. Others thought she was being dramatic, but Daniel knew she was right. Ethan Lee's new problem. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Ethan Lee sat in front of his computer typing fast. He had become a kind of hero online after leaking the military files that the Virexians had seen. People called him brave. Some even thanked him for making the aliens leave. Ethan didn't feel like a hero. He felt nervous, because someone was watching him now. It started with strange emails, messages that came and then disappeared. Then, one night, his lights flickered, for no reason. His phone shut off and turned back on by itself. He wasn't sure if it was the government or something else, maybe both. He tried to stay low. He deleted some of his old posts. He stopped sharing new leaks, but it was too late. The Virexians had already seen everything and they were still learning. More than just weapons on the Virexian ship, Cortel studied the data from Earth again. He looked at the leaked files, the climate reports, the videos of cities burning. He found something new, a pattern. Humans did not just build weapons. They built machines that changed the world around them, not always on purpose. Factories made clothes and cars, but they also filled the air with smoke. Farms fed millions, but they used chemicals that hurt the soil. Cities grew taller and brighter, but they took land from animals and trees. Cortel saw how humans lived, with comfort, with speed, with little thought for the future. He looked at a video of a child playing outside. The sun was bright, the grass was green, but nearby a river ran, dark with waste. Cortel closed his eyes. "These beings," he whispered, "they do not mean to harm, but they do." Learton joined him. "They are like fire," the elder said. "Warm, beautiful, but dangerous." Cortel opened his eyes. "If they reach the stars," he said, "they may burn more than just their own world." Fear spreads. Among the Virexians, the next meeting of the Virexian Council was quiet. No one spoke at first. Everyone looked at the same screen. Earth, its blue oceans, its white clouds, its glowing cities. Beautiful, dangerous. Finally, Learton broke the silence. "What do we tell the Concord?" he asked. One of the younger scientists answered. "That they are not ready," she said. "They have not learned control." Another added, "They create faster than they think." Cortel stepped forward. "They are not evil," he said, "but they are careless. If they travel among the stars, they may bring ruin with them." There was more silence. Then Learton spoke. "We cannot let that happen." A secret decision. Later that night, the Virexians sent another signal, not to Earth, but to the Galactic Concord. Their message was short. "We observed. We listened. We fear what humanity may become." They are not ready to join us. That message traveled across space, bouncing between stars, until it reached the home world of the conquered. There, other species read it and discussed. Some agreed. With the Virexians, others wanted to give humans a chance. But one rule remained. No species that destroys its own world should be allowed to destroy others. Back on Earth, confusion grows on Earth. The Virexians' message had sparked debate. But no one knew what would come next. Daniel got a call from Maya. "They're not coming back," she said. Daniel frowned. "How do you know?" "The UN tried to contact them. Nothing. No signal. No reply." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "They made their choice," he said. Maya was quiet for a moment. "What do we do now?" she asked. Daniel looked out the window. "We live," he said. "And maybe we try to do better." A small step forward. The weeks that followed, something strange happened. More people began talking about the environment. Schools held lessons on climate change. Cities tried to use less plastic. Farmers tested new ways to grow food without harming the land. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Maya helped organize a global forum called Not Just Us. Scientists, artists, teachers, and young people came together to talk about Earth's future. Daniel stayed in the background, but he watched, and he hoped. Final thoughts far away, the Virexians kept watching Earth. They did not return, but they did not forget. Cortel often looked at the images of Earth. He saw the changes, small, slow, but real. He showed them to Lirtan. "They are trying," he said. Lirtan looked at the screen. "Yes," he said. "But can they last long enough to learn?" Cortel didn't answer. He only watched and waited. Because in the end, the question was not whether humans could destroy. It was whether they could change. The Virexian command ship floated silently above the stars, far from Earth. Its dark surface caught the light of distant suns, reflecting nothing but cold space. Inside, lights pulsed softly along the walls. The air was cool and clean. No wind. No noise. Just the hum of machines at work. Cortel stood alone in the observation room. His black eyes watched a small blue dot on the screen. Earth. He had studied it for weeks now. He had read human books, watched their films, listened to their music. He had seen how they lived, how they dreamed, how they destroyed. And now, he had to decide what to do with that knowledge. Behind him, Lirtan entered the room. His pale blue skin shimmered under the soft light. His voice was calm, but firm. "The council is ready," he said. Cortel nodded. He took one last look at Earth on the screen, then followed Lirtan down the hallway. The final meeting. The meeting hall was quiet when they arrived. Other Virexians were already seated around a large round table. Some were scientists. Others were leaders. All of them had studied Earth in their own way. Lirtan sat at the head of the table. Cortel stood in front of it. He looked around at the faces watching him. "We have learned much," he began. "We came here thinking humans were harmless. We believed they were not a threat." One of the elders spoke. "And now?" Cortel took a breath. "Now we know better." He touched his wrist. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed Earth again, but this time data scrolled around it. Rising temperatures, melting ice, dying forests. "They are not warriors," Cortel said. "They do not attack each other often, but they destroy their own world without meaning to." Another elder asked, "How long before their planet becomes uninhabitable?" Cortel paused. "If they continue like this," he said, "a few hundred years." There was silence. Lirtan leaned forward. "But they are smart," he said. "They create beautiful things, music, art, stories. They dream beyond their world." Cortel nodded. "That is true," he said. "But dreams do not stop climate change. They do not stop pollution. They do not stop destruction. A younger Virexian spoke. "They may learn," she said. "They may change." Cortel looked at her. "They may," he said. "But if they leave Earth before they do—" He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone understood. If humans reach the stars too soon, they might bring ruin with them. A message to humanity. Later that day, the Virexians sent another signal to Earth. It was not loud. It was not threatening. It was calm. The message played on every radio, every TV, every phone. "You are capable of great beauty and terrible ruin. Do not let the latter consume you." Then silence. On Earth, people heard the message and talked about it. Some cried, some laughed, some argued. Daniel Carter and Maya Rodriguez stood outside looking up at the sky. "That's not goodbye," Maya said. Daniel nodded. "No," he said. "It's a warning." Tasurin, on Earth. Confusion grows back on Earth. The world reacted quickly. News stations replayed the message over and over. People posted it online. Some called it a blessing. Others thought it was a threat. In Washington, officials held emergency meetings. "What does it mean?" one general asked. Maya sat at the table. She looked tired. "It means they saw us," she said. "Really saw us," Daniel added. "They saw our science, our art, our weapons, our planet." A senator frowned. "So, why did they leave?" Maya looked at him. "Because they finally understood us." Daniel stood up. "They didn't come here to fight," he said. "They came to see if we were ready for the stars." He looked around the room, and they decided we're not. Silence followed. Ethan Lee finds something. New Meanwhile in Chicago, Ethan Lee sat alone in his apartment surrounded by blinking screens. He had become something of a legend online after leaking the military files. People still thanked him for making the aliens leave. Ethan wasn't sure if that was true. He had stopped sharing secrets. He had gone quiet. But now, something new caught his attention. A strange file had appeared on his computer. No sender. No name. Just a folder labeled Direction Logs. Ethan opened it carefully. Inside were videos, messages, data. He watched as the Virexians debated Earth's future. He read their reports. He saw how they judged humanity, not as enemies, but as danger. He closed the file and leaned back in his chair. "They were scared of us," he whispered. He didn't feel proud. He felt afraid. Fear among the stars back on the Virexian ship, Cortel stood with Lirtan once more. "They will keep trying," Lirtan said. Cortel nodded. "They always do." Lirtan looked at the screen showing Earth. "They may change," he said. "They may grow." Cortel crossed his arms. "But will they do it fast enough?" Lirtan didn't answer. He only watched. The decision is made. The next day, the Virexians made their final decision. They would not return to Earth. They would not share technology. They would not help humanity reach the stars. Instead, they would watch from afar, quietly, and they would report to the Galactic Concord. Their message was short. "We observed. We listened. We fear what humanity may become. They are not ready to join us." That message traveled across space, bouncing between stars, until it reached the home world of the Concord. There, other species read it and discussed. Some agreed with the Virexians. Others wanted to give humans a chance. But one rule remained. No species that destroys its own world should be allowed to destroy others. Back on Earth, a movement begins despite the Virexians' departure. Something changed on Earth. More people started talking about the environment. Schools taught more about climate change. Cities tried to use less plastic. Farmers tested new ways to grow food without harming the land. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Maya helped organize a global forum called Not Just Us. Scientists, artists, teachers, and young people came together to talk about Earth's future. Daniel stayed in the background, but he watched, and he hoped. A small step forward. Months passed. The Virexians continued to watch from afar. They did not return, but they did not forget. Cortel often looked at the images of Earth. He saw the changes, small, slow but real. He showed them to Lirtan. "They are trying," he said. Lirtan looked at the screen. "Yes," he said, "but can they last long enough to learn?" Cortel didn't answer. He only watched and waited, because in the end the question was not whether humans could destroy. It was whether they could change. Final thoughts. Far away, the Virexians kept watching Earth. They had come looking for a peaceful species. They had found something else. Humans were not strong like warriors. They were not united like hives. They were fragile, emotional, creative, dangerous. They sang songs. They told stories. They loved and hated and dreamed. And now, they had been seen by someone new, by someone watching. And the Virexians were not sure what to think. Yet, the sky above Earth was quiet once again. No alien ships hovered above cities. No strange lights filled the night. The Virexians had left, and with them, a silence settled over the world. Not just in the skies, but in the hearts of people. Some mourned their departure, others were relieved, but everyone felt it. Something had changed. A message left behind. Though the Virexians were gone, they did not leave Earth empty-handed. They sent one final message, not to governments or leaders, but to the stars themselves. A deep space probe, launched years ago by humans, picked it up near Neptune. It was not loud. It was not threatening. It was calm. "You are capable of great beauty and terrible ruin. Do not let the latter consume you." The message was broadcast across Earth. It played on radios, on phones, on giant screens in city squares. People watched. They listened. And for once, there was no argument, only thought. On Earth, the world. Changes back on Earth, the world began to shift. Not all at once, not perfectly, but slowly, quietly, like the turning of seasons. More people started talking about the environment. Schools added new lessons. Cities passed laws to reduce pollution. Companies tried to make products that did less harm. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Maya Rodriguez helped start a global movement called Not Just Us. It brought together scientists, artists, teachers, and young people from every country. They talked about Earth's future, they shared ideas, they made plans. Daniel Carter stayed in the background watching from afar. He didn't speak much, but he believed. He believed that maybe, just maybe, humanity could change. Ethan Lee finds his place in Chicago. Ethan Lee sat alone in his small apartment. His computer screen glowed softly in the dark room. He had stopped hacking after the Virexians left. He had seen what his actions had done. The leaked files had reached the aliens. They had changed how the Virexians saw humans. Ethan didn't feel proud. He felt afraid. But then, something else happened. People started asking him questions, not about secrets, about what he had learned, about what the Virexians might have seen. At first, Ethan avoided them, but then he began to answer. He wrote articles. He gave interviews. He spoke about the dangers of unchecked power, about how humans could be smart, creative, dangerous, all at once. He became a voice for change, not because he wanted to be famous, but because he wanted to make sure the next time someone found the stars, they would be ready. Back in space, the Virexians, watch far away, the Virexians kept watching. They did not return to Earth, but they did not forget it either. Cortel often looked at the images of Earth. He saw the changes, small, slow, but real. Cities using cleaner energy, farms growing food without harming the land, young people speaking out. They are trying. Cortel said one day. Lear Tan, the elder, looked at the screen beside him. Yes, he said. But can they last? Long enough to learn? Cortel didn't answer. He only watched and waited, because in the end, the question was not whether humans could destroy, it was whether they could change. The Galactic Concord responds on. A distant world, the Galactic Concord received the Virexian report. It was short. We observed, we listened, we fear what humanity may become. They are not ready to join us. Other species read it and discussed. Some agreed with the Virexians. Others wanted to give humans a chance. But one rule remained. No species that destroys its own world should be allowed to destroy others. A council of elders met to decide. Would they allow humans into the galaxy? Or keep them locked away? After hours of debate, the decision was made. Not yet. They would watch. Wait. See if humans could fix their world before reaching for the stars. Daniel Carter looks up back on Earth. Daniel stood outside at night. The sky was clear. Stars blinked above him. He looked up, wondering if someone was looking back. He remembered the Virexians, their pale blue skin, their soft voices, their warning. He whispered to himself, "We're not ready yet," but then he smiled. "But we're trying." Maya starts something. New Maya Rodriguez stood in front of a crowd in Geneva. She was giving a speech at the second annual Not Just Us and Summit. Behind her, a large screen showed Earth from space. She looked at the faces watching her. Scientists, farmers, teachers, students, leaders. She took a deep breath. "We were seen," she said, "not just as a planet, but as a people." She paused. They saw our art, our music, our dreams. But they also saw our mistakes. She looked around the room. They left because they understood us. A young girl raised her hand. "What can we do?" she asked. Maya smiled. "We listen," she said. "We learn, and we try to do better." The girl nodded. Maya looked back at the screen. "We may not be ready for the stars," she said, "but we can still reach for them." Balwindy final thoughts far away, the Virexians continued to watch. They had come looking for peace. They had found something else. Humans were not strong like warriors. They were not united like hives. They were fragile, emotional, creative, dangerous. They sang songs, they told stories, they loved and hated and dreamed, and now they had been seen by someone new, by someone watching, and the Virexians were not sure what to think. Yet, the sky above Earth was quiet again. No alien ships hovered over cities. No strange lights filled the night. The Virexians had left, and with them, a silence settled over the world, not just in the skies, but in the hearts of people. Some mourned their departure. Others were relieved. But everyone felt it. Something had changed. And now, Earth waited, not to be seen, but to prove itself. A message from the edge of the solar system. Years passed. Decades. The Virexians did not return. But one day, something unexpected happened. A deep space probe launched by humans decades ago picked up a signal near Neptune. It was faint, old, but still clear. The message came from a small Virexian drone that had been left behind. It floated silently in space, waiting. When the probe reached it, the drone activated. A soft light blinked, then a voice played through the speakers. We watched, we feared, but we hope. That message traveled back to Earth. It was broadcast across the planet, on radios, on phones, on giant screens in city squares. People stopped what they were doing. They listened, and for once, there was no argument, only thought, only hope. On Earth, the world unites. Back on Earth, the message sparked something new. For years, humanity had struggled with division, wars, pollution, hunger, fear. But now, for the first time in history, the world came together. Not because of fear, not because of power, but because of something simple: hope. Maya Rodriguez helped organize a global event called Beauty One Voice. Leaders, scientists, artists, and everyday people gathered in Geneva. They stood under the open sky and looked up. They spoke, they sang, they shared dreams, and they sent a reply into space, a message to anyone who might be watching. We hear you, we are listening, we are trying. It was not loud, it was not perfect, but it was real. Ethan Lee becomes a teacher in Chicago. Ethan Lee sat in a classroom full of students. He was older now, his hair was starting to gray, but his eyes were sharp. He looked at the young faces before him. They asked questions about aliens, about hacking, about how one person could change the world. Ethan smiled. "I didn't mean to change anything," he said. "I just wanted to know the truth." A girl raised her hand. "But you did change things." Ethan nodded. "Maybe I did." He looked out the window. "The truth matters," he said, "even when it's scary." The class was quiet for a moment. Then someone asked, "What do you think is out there?" Ethan looked at the stars. "I don't know," he said, "but I hope we're ready when we find out." Riker Daniel Carter sees the future. Daniel Carter stood outside a military base in Nevada, the same place where it all began. The same desert wind blew, the same sun shone. But the sky was different. It was filled with satellites, probes, drones, telescopes. Earth was reaching for the stars, slowly, carefully. Daniel looked up. He remembered the Virexians, their pale blue skin, their soft voices, their warning. He whispered to himself, "We're not ready yet." But then he smiled. "But we're getting there." Back in space, the Virexians watched far away. The Virexians continued to watch. They had come looking for peace. They had found something else. Humans were not strong like warriors. They were not united like hives. They were fragile, emotional, creative, dangerous. They sang songs. They told stories. They loved and hated and dreamed. And now, they had been seen by someone new, by someone watching. And the Virexians were not sure what to think. Yet, Cortel stood in the observation room. He watched Earth on the screen. Cities lit up at night. Oceans sparkled in sunlight. Forests grew back, in places once burned. He saw the changes. Small, slow, but real. Leartan joined him. "They are trying," Cortel said. Leartan looked at the screen. "Yes," he said. "But can they last long enough to learn?" Cortel didn't answer. He only watched and waited. Because in the end, the question was not whether humans could destroy, it was whether they could change. A new kind of hope back on Earth. A child looked up at the sky. She was young. Her name was Lily. She pointed at a bright dot moving slowly across the dark. "That's a satellite," her father said. Lily tilted her head. "Is it going to space?" Her father nodded. "To help us see farther." Lily smiled. "Do you think someone out there is watching us?" Her father looked up. "Maybe," he said. "But if they are, I hope they see what we're becoming." Lily kept watching, and so did the stars. Final thoughts far away. The Virexians kept watching Earth. They had come looking for a peaceful species. They had found something else. Humans were not strong like warriors. They were not united like hives. They were fragile, emotional, creative, dangerous. They sang songs. They told stories. They loved and hated and dreamed. And now, they had been seen. By someone new. By someone watching. And the Virexians were not sure what to think. Yet, because in the end, the question was not whether humans could destroy. It was whether they could change. And maybe, just maybe, they already had.